Hello, this is a video about major scale construction. What do I mean by that? Well, let's get into it. We may know our C scale already. Hopefully you do at this point in the video. So it's just C to C, white keys. And if we're proper pianists, we could do our 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to make that happen. Then reverse it. So that's a really easy one to see. But then you might have noticed that if you try the same thing somewhere else, like maybe on A, it doesn't sound the same. There's something different about it. It doesn't sound major, that's for sure. So let's talk about major scales, how they're constructed, and how to figure these out just based on step patterns. So here's what I mean. In music, we have half steps and whole steps. And this kind of presents itself differently on different instruments. A little easier to see on guitar, in my opinion. As far as we're concerned, a half step is a minor second, so you might hear that term as well. It's the same thing. Then a whole step would be a major second. So synonymous terms there. So before I get too far ahead of myself, let's explain what these are. A half step on any instrument is just one note to the next. You're never skipping a note. So on piano, this can be a little confusing because we have black and white notes. But we don't care. We're just imagining it as one big strip of notes. So that was all half steps. A good example of half steps would be like a chromatic scale, which is just the same thing. So I never skipped a note. So a good song would be like, clown music usually sounds that way. Flight of the Bumblebee is another one that uses that kind of sound. How does it go? Doesn't really skip notes. So a whole step is when we skip exactly one note. So from C to D will be a whole step because we're skipping this black key right here. D to E, another whole step because we are skipping this note. E to F, on the other hand, is just a half step because there is no black key here, so we don't have to account for that. So it could be a little confusing on keyboard. So for example, this is a half step. This is a half step. This is a half step. It's just one note to the next. Let me show you a couple whole steps, aka major seconds. We're gonna skip a note. So here I skipped F sharp. Here I skip D sharp. Here, I skip E. Played a note, skip a note, now I have one in between. That's a major second. So why am I talking about all this stuff? Because it turns out our major scales are built on a series of these. So let's take our C major scale, for example. We already know the notes. It's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But now what you can do is apply the step pattern and try to figure out the code that goes behind this. So C to D, let's check this out. It's a whole step because we skipped this note here. So that's whole. D to E is whole. E to F is a half step. We just talked about that. There's no white or a black key in between the two. So that's half. F to G is whole. G to A, whole. A to B, whole. Then B to C, that's another half because there's no black key there. So this pattern right here, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, is the formula for a major scale. So if we started on any other key on the piano and applied this formula, we should get the same sounding scale, aka major scale. So let's try that. And we're gonna try a weird note. We're gonna do, let's do A flat. So A flat's my first note. And then there's a rule in scales where we can't duplicate any notes. So just so you see, except this one, because that's our last note. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So I can't have two Ds or two Es or two Fs or anything like that. That's a little confusing. We'll talk about more in lessons. But for now, I'm just going to write out the rest of the notes, regardless of whether I know they are flat or sharp. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to write them out. So if I have an A, I know I need a G. Or sorry, B. B's next. I'm going backwards. I need B, C, D, E, F, G, finally I'm back around to A, or A flat in this case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this formula that I had up here. So I'm going to go a whole step up from A flat. So if this is A flat, that's a whole step. Well, that's not B because B is right here. So that means this note must be B flat if I want to follow those rules of the whole step. So if I go up a whole step from B flat, I actually do just end up on C. So that one doesn't need change, it's fine. So now I'm going to go a half step up from C. That puts me on D flat. Then I'm going to go a whole step up from D flat. Skipping a note, that puts you on E flat. I'm going to go a whole step up from E flat. Hey, that just puts me on a regular old F. And then I'm going to go up a whole step from there. That puts me on a G. Then my last half step puts me back to A flat. So we might not know our A flat scale very well, but according to the rules, it ends up having 4 flats, which is true. And if we play these all in order, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A flat, boy, it sure sounds similar to this. They're both major scales. So this is the formula for the major scale. If you apply the step pattern anywhere on the piano, or any instrument for that matter, you will get a major scale. So keep this in your mind. Hopefully you can remember it. It's a good skill to have, but we're going to find other ways of figuring out our major scales in the future as well. That's it. Good luck.